My vision for this piece is to go from dark and dated to light and bright without sacrificing character and charm.
So I found this on Facebook Marketplace. I believe it was $250 and I paid an extra $50 for him to deliver it. So got about $300 in it. Honestly, I thought it was a flip down bar, you know, but it's not, it's just a buffet. So these are drawers that open. So that does affect my resale value, but it's in amazing condition. It is actually a Beautility. So great brand. I think I've already stripped the top though, and I don't love the color. And so it pulls a very yellow, which my buyers don't really like yellow. So I'm gonna have to workshop the final color. So let's go.
I'm going to start by stripping the whole piece. I am using Greenie stripper. I'm just going to apply it. You see I have this little board on the back. I'm going to take it off. That way I can get a really clean refinish. So if I was trying to get underneath there, it'd be difficult to sand. So I'm just going to take it off. That way I get a really nice refinish. Taking all of the hardware off, I'll put it in Ziploc bags to get it cleaned later. I let it sit about an hour and then I check it. You can see it's still having a little problems going through that finish. So I'm just going to put a little bit more of the stripper on, let it set for a little bit longer, and then it really started coming up nicely. I'm using a drywall taping knife. It's really big, but it's great for these really flat, even surfaces to get off as much as I can. My sequence is I like to start with my drywall knife, get as much off as I can. Then I'm going to apply some acetone with some fine steel wool. I'll either use 2/0 or 4/0. I'm trying to get off as much finish as I can because the more finish I get off, the less sanding I have to do. And then my last step is I like to apply a finish cleaner. You can see I'm using a scrub brush and I'm getting off even more of the finish. So that's my process. I scrape it off, use acetone with steel wool, and then that finish cleaner, you'll really see I get a lot more of the finish off by doing that step. I like to rinse it at least 1 or 2 times. Any type of detailed areas, I like to use a brass brush. It's very fine, so it's really gentle on the wood. It really helps me to get in there and get those detailed areas scraped off. Once that's dried out overnight, I'm ready to do my sanding. Now, I got so much finish off, I really don't need to do a ton of sanding. And so I'm starting at 120. If I have any areas like on the base that'll have a little bit of finish left, I might hit it with an 80 grit, but I'm gonna do 120, 180, and then I'll clean it off with a 50-50 mixture of denatured alcohol and water, and then just see if I've missed any spots. That's the beauty of doing a really good job my first day of stripping is that sanding, yes, I have to sand, but it's not much. I'm just you gotta remember, under the finish, it was already sanded. So I'm just kind of refining my scratch pattern, getting off any additional finish that might still be there, and then I can move on to my finish. I had a few areas where I felt a little blotchy, so I decided to do a round of oxalic acid on the entire piece. Just mix it with warm water, applied it with a chip brush over the whole piece, let it dry, rinsed it 3 times. Then I was ready to test some finishes.
So let me show you what it would look like if I just simply put some sealer on it. See how orange it is? I don't know what kind of oak this is. I don't think it's a tiger oak. There is some, variations, but it's not as, not as much as a tiger oak, but it is some kind of like quarter sawn something. So very kind of yellowish. I like the drawers in the middle. They're kind of a different hue than the sides. Sides are a little bit more yellow. So I don't know.
So I decided to test out the Osmo Raw effect, and honestly, after doing the test patch, I felt like it darkened it too much. And so you can see there, it darkened it. So certain woods is going to do that. That's not the look I'm going for. So I'm going to take that off and I'm going to pivot. So what I decided to do is I'm going to seal it first. This is going to give me some flexibility. So I don't want anything stuck in the wood grain and not reversible. So I have my top coat and I have 3 drops of some green tint that'll hopefully counteract some of those undertones. So I'm going to give it a nice seal, and then I'm going to move on to try a stain. So I'm using Bear's. This is their white stain, and this is a water-based stain. So I'm just going to do a test patch, apply it, see if I like it. I liked it. So I'm going to continue on over the whole piece. I'm working in sections. It's really hot when I'm doing this, and water-based stain can dry really fast. Wipe it on liberally, and then make sure that you work quickly. I like to make sure that I'm working with the grain so I don't have any streaks. Okay, here it is after the first wash. Now this is just a white wash. You can see there's still a lot of varying tones. So my next process is going to be doing a tan wash. This is Safari Beige. This is a color, I believe, by Valspar. And so this is the color I'm gonna try as another wash. Now, if I wanna do some additional toning after I do the tan wash, then I can help with some of these varying tones, but we'll see if I need it. So for my tan wash, I'm going to do a ratio of 1 part paint to 2 parts water. So you can do any kind of ratio you want. Sometimes you just have to experiment. And so some people will do like super watered down, like 1 to 10. So it just depends on how much wood grain you want to have exposed, because what you got to remember is that the water will evaporate and it's going to leave that paint behind. So I decided on a 2 to 1. That's what I wanted to go, because I do need quite a bit of toning. You can see I'm just misting it a little bit with water. I have a nice wide Purdy brush that I'm using. It was perfect to apply this, and I'm just going to apply it. You have a little bit more working time with this than I think you do with the stain, but you can see I'm really going with that grain. So you want to make sure that you're pulling it off with the grain. Here it is after I've whitewashed it and I've tan washed it. So I think it looks good. It's looking, a little bit more cohesive, but now I kind of think I need to warm it up a little bit. So I was thinking about it last night. And, I don't like to mix my products. So if I'm using oil-based, I like to stay in oil-based. If I'm using water-based, I like to stay in water-based. You can mix them if you leave enough dry time, but I like to stay in the same family. So I was thinking about it. I have this General Finishes. This is their Glaze Effects in Van Dyke Brown. And I thought it might be just enough to bring out some of the carving and just kind of warm it up a little bit. So I'm going to test this first and see if I like it. So you can see this is the consistency of the glaze. I did add just a tiny bit of water. You can add like 10% water. Again, I did a test patch. I really liked it. And so I thought, okay, This is going to be good. I'm going to go for it and put it over the entire body. So I'm doing the same process I did with the tan wash. I'm applying it with my Purdy brush. I do have a little bit of open time. Even though it's hot, it seems like it's not going to dry on you too quickly. So you can see I'm doing a little bit larger sections. Do the same thing. I make sure that my microfiber rag is nice and flat, folded, and then I just wipe it off in a really nice even stroke. And this is where you can really start seeing that layered effect. I wouldn't be able to get this look with just simply one stain. So you see, this is my third layer. So it's really giving that beautiful layered look. Now I'm ready to seal it. So I'm going to give it a nice little scuff sand, wipe it down. I'm going to seal it with my matte top coat. I'm using my Earlex 5700, my favorite sprayer by far. It gives a beautiful finish. The drawers dried beautifully. I really like their color. Now, I think they're a little bit different wood because the body still needs a little bit of help. I felt like the doors and the top were just a little bit different variations in the wood. And so what I decided is I have a cup, my top coat, and I added 1 teaspoon of my glaze, and I just mix that in, and I'm going to tone the entire body. I'm not going to do the drawers, just the body. Once I let that dry, I felt that the doors needed 1 more coat, so I gave them 1 more coat of toner. For the hardware, once I cleaned them up, it really needed a little bit of help. So what I decided to do is I put a little bit of gold wax on it, which was beautiful, but it really honestly just made them look too new. And it didn't go with the vibe I was going for. But I antiqued them a little bit by putting on some black paint. So just simply put it on, wiped it off, so it kind of settled down into some of those recessed areas and made it look more antique. My last step is to jazz up the inside of the doors. I'm using hard wax oil in the color Cognac just to reseal them, kind of adding some color, making it look nice. Well, let's look back at the before on this piece. This was a beautiful piece. It was in great condition. It was just dark, dated, and kind of heavy. And so my goal with this piece was to try to make it a little bit more modern. I wanted to keep it light, but yet I really wanted to retain the character and the charm that it had. So here's the finished product. What do you think? I really like it. I really do. I think it just makes it so much more modern, but yet you can tell it's an older piece. And I really think the difference is, first of all, you've got the hardware. Looks very antique still, but it's in beautiful, beautiful condition. But I think what really made the difference is really that layering effect, is by having that white stain and then the tan wash and then the glaze. You can really tell on the base, the glaze just really makes that layered look. And of course, I do love the matte top coat. I think it just kind of blends everything together, kind of mutes everything down. I think it came together and was exactly what I was looking for. So I'm going to list this locally for $1,500. We'll see if I can sell it for that. That's what I'm going to start at. I think it's definitely worth that much, but we'll see. I'll make sure I put an update for you in the community tab when I sell it to see what I sold it for. So tell me what you would list it for in the comments and tell me if you like it. Do you like this piece? And if you like flips like this, make sure you subscribe and put your notification bell on if you want to see my next project coming up. This is a Biedermeier secretary. I believe it's from the mid 1800s to the late 1800s. Such a cool piece. Thanks so much for watching.